I forget I'm here too. Boop.
Welcome back, everybody. Oh, sorry, what? Someone said something.
Oh, I said cool at the same time you started. I'm so sorry.
It's staying in now, just so you're aware. That's too
Okay.
funny. All right, welcome back, everybody, to another interview. Today, SirSmirkz and I are joined by Michael Kovach, an extremely talented voice actor that I'm not gonna lie, I'm just amazed to be on a call with right now. Michael, how are you doing?
I'm gonna leave now. No,
No, don't leave.
I'm I'm doing good. I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys doing?
Well, I'm bright-eyed and bushy-tailed as always.
As always, that's not a lie. We're all doing fantastic. Sunshine and sun rays and all the good stuff. Puppy dogs and rainbows. Nah, but for real. Things are good. Really, really, really happy with a lot of the reactions to the new chapter. And I'm glad that people love the big, big blue, red, yellow, orange Doey boy.
They do. And Smirks, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I had one of those internet detox days, so I'm actually pretty chipper.
Oh, we all need those.
Absolutely.
That was me yesterday and part of today.
I've been too preoccupied with real life stuff that it's like, well, I guess I'm not on the internet, which is a blessing, honestly.
Really is. Just gets so overwhelming.
Oh, yeah.
This is very true. So, Michael, let us know what your pronouns are. And while I've said that you are a voice actor, in your words, tell us what you do exactly.
Sure. My name is Michael. My pronouns are he, him. And yes, I am a voice actor. I've been a voice actor since, well, I've done it for fun since I was a teenager, pretty much. So I guess I'd say I've been doing it for fun since like 2007, since before I was a teenager, actually. I was a preteen. Doing it more professionally since around 2015, 2016. And a lot of you guys watching, probably know me from mostly from my work on independent animation because I've worked on a lot of things ranging from the Has Been Hotel pilot to Murder Drones, the Amazing Digital Circus, Lackadaisy, and a bunch of other things. There's a whole meme that I just kind of spawn into the recording booth for a lot of things, and I guess I do, and I'm in Poppy Playtime as well. A lot of people don't realize I've been in it since like the very beginning, well before Doey as other characters, but I'm sure we'll get into those questions a little later.
We absolutely will. So, diving right in, did you always see yourself becoming a voice actor, or did you have other career plans in mind that seemed more likely to come to fruition?
When I was a kid, I liked being a voice actor. You're not on camera at all, and actually, right now, as far as I am concerned, I don't really care for being on camera. I prefer voice acting. But as a kid, I actually wanted to be a weatherman. I wanted to be like a news person, do something on like the news, and I usually just would do little bits on the family like home recorder where I would just be pretending to be a weatherman and be like, in today's news, blah, 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 blah. And that's something I always kind of wanted to do. I think I just wanted to be a performer for the most part. But the second thing that I really wanted to do is so stupid. I loved Drake and Josh as a kid. And I was like, wow, working at a movie theater sounds really fun. So I wanted to work at a movie theater for a period of time in my adolescence. Otherwise, as far as growing up, I think I've always just had this fascination with cartoons and the characters and the voices of those characters. And so voice acting is just one of those career paths that from very early adolescence I just kind of gravitated to and was probably going to be what I would end up doing no matter what. I don't know where I would be if I wasn't voice acting. Probably just working some 9 to 5. I don't know.
Hit me working a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
No, that's really cool to hear. Similar for me as well. I grew up wanting to do entertainment, singing, and playing piano since I was 5 years old, and all of it. I wanted to do all. But it's crazy though. You mentioned weatherman because I actually, before I decided on doing musical theater in college, I was going to go to school to be a meteorologist so I can do storm chasing.
Oh, dude, storm chasing is so cool, actually. I know several people that go, like, maybe not storm chasing, but they chase like tornadoes and they do things that are in a similar vein. And it's just such a cool, interesting thing to do. And also, like, as scary as it is, that thrill is just kind of really, really interesting.
It really is. It really is. It's so funny. I moved to Texas about 3 years ago, and I still have yet to sign up to do a tornado tour because I really want to do that at some point.
You should. That'd be fun.
That would be fun.
What if you go missing, Tibbers?
Eh,
At least you went missing doing something really cool.
exactly.
If I was going to go out in any way, I'd be like, well, at least I'm going out doing something really awesome, really cool. It's better than dying like in my sleep or something, or of carbon monoxide poisoning or something like normal.
I heard something about that recently in the news about carbon
Yeah.
monoxide.
I know, it's so unfortunate. Dude, it's such a tragic thing that just happens like all the freaking time.
It's just unseen killer. It's
It is,
absolutely
dude.
wild.
It is, and it's like it's so just you don't even know when it's happening a lot of the time. Like some people are adverse to that where they can recognize that, things are happening, but most people don't even know. Anyway, don't want to go on a tangent about that. That's a sad thing.
I guess kind of jumping off that question, going to you already dipped into this a little bit, but what was that moment that sparked your interest? Like, yeah, I'm really going to pursue voice acting. Like, this is absolutely what I'm going to do.
That's interesting because I started off just doing fan dubs of like Sonic the Hedgehog video game and anime clips from like Sonic X or just clips from the video games. And I made friends in like the Sonic community. And from there, I made friends that just were in the general voice acting community as well. And, auditioned for things on certain websites, mostly just fan projects, nothing serious. I mostly just did it as a hobby for fun. I know that from the very beginning of when I started doing it, I had a lot of fun doing it and knew it was something I wanted to pursue, but I didn't think it would be something that could sustain me as a career. I knew that I'd have to have something else. So, unfortunately, I did not come up with a second plan. I just sort of decided, okay, I'm going to go all in on doing what I want to do as a voice actor and give that a shot. And I'm just going to try to get a job at like some retail store to kind of help me get by. Nothing like permanent, nothing serious. The only actual job I've ever worked, I say actual job as if what I do isn't an actual job. But the only like proper, normal, considered normal by society job that I've done is I worked at Toys R Us for the holiday season of 2013, fresh out of high school. That was it. Other than that, I think just I kind of went all in on voice acting and was hopeful that would work out. And I'm certainly glad that that happened the way it did, and that it all seems to have worked out. Because if not, again, I'd probably just be still living at home with my mom, probably working at Walmart or something.
That's a real mood.
I know.
That's a real
Walmart.
mood.
The dreaded Walmart.
The dreaded Walmart.
Because it's the opposite for me. It was like, let's learn musical theater. Oh, I really don't like how people are treating me in this. Let's just go work in the workforce and not do anything art related.
Oh, that's fair, dude. I mean, I'm gonna be real. There's a lot of communities. I'm grateful that I've mostly met genuinely decent people. There are some rotten eggs in any community, and especially depending on kind of where you start and who you meet. Sometimes you can meet the wrong people that give you the absolute worst impressions. And I'm sorry that you seem to have experienced that with the creative sphere, because there are good people, but there are definitely a lot of rotten eggs. And when you find rotten eggs, it's just kind of it's hard to disassociate them from everything, especially if that's your first major introduction. But I'd say you shouldn't completely give up on at least trying to do stuff as a hobby to start or for fun.
Oh no, absolutely. Like, I'll be honest, if I hadn't gotten into this partner program with Mob Entertainment, I wouldn't have picked up doing music and other stuff again, because it just completely inspired me 100% to get back into it. And now I actually feel like I have a purpose doing it. So I'm glad to be back, even if I'm just a little small little guy.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it.
Do you have any other talents or hobbies outside of voice acting that are pretty cool? Like, for example, knitting.
Knitting. Oh gosh. I'm pretty boring in real life. I generally do a lot of basic things. I like going on walks. I spend a lot of time with my cat Rose. I like video games. I like watching like cartoons and anime and shows. As far as like actual creative things go, I don't really go as hard into this as some people have said I should, but I am apparently a pretty good graphic designer. I do most of my own graphics for a lot of things, and with any convention announcements, those are always done by the conventions themselves. I have to clarify that because some of the convention banners and like graphics I get are absolute bum water. They're terrible. Some of them look god awful, and so I'm like, I didn't make those. Conventions make those a lot of the time. But any of my personal things that I post that I've that are of my own free will, those are usually made by me. So I try my best to do what I can with graphic design. I don't consider myself a great graphic designer, but others have said that I've got a good eye for it. Same with photography and like videography. Anything that involves a camera, I'm generally really good at taking photos and being able to kind of understand lighting and other specific things. It's not something I've explored much, but it's something I'm apparently good at and that I enjoy doing, that I should probably take more time to do. But I haven't because I don't have that confidence in it yet. Woohoo!
Come on, confidence.
Right? I mean, you build confidence with time, and once you like just do it a lot. I wasn't confident in my voice acting for a long time.
Oh, I'm still not. I'm still not. I question everything, even in auditions. I'm like, I'll sit there after I submitted it and be like, I should have done it this way, or I should have done it this way. I just
Dude,
second guessing nonstop.
You will do that. You will do that forever. I still do that. I still do that all the freaking time. And the truth is that a lot of the time actors are always going to have a level of self-conscious thought. Like they're always going to think about how they can do something better and what they're having difficulty with. And for most actors, when they do auditions, there are certain ideas in their head of how they want to do something, but they just can't do it as much as they'd expect. And so they just do the best they can, and they give it their best shot, and they throw what they got out into the ether. And sometimes they're not happy with it, but a lot of the time that's just kind of how it is. You send and forget a lot of the time in voice acting. You do your best, you send it out, and then you try not to think about it too much, because if you obsess over it and you don't get it, you're going to be very upset. That's just sort of the natural process a lot of us go through.
It's 100% accurate. Oh my gosh.
You've had it, Tibbers. You got it.
Yeah, you're doing good.
Yay.
Okay, Poppy Playtime questions.
Dun dun dun.
Doey the Doughman was a major presence in Chapter 4 of Poppy Playtime. How did you approach voicing such a unique character? And did you have any specific inspirations for his voice?
So when I was contacted about doing Doey the Doughman, I'd worked with the Poppy Playtime folks since Chapter 1 on a few VHS tape characters. And when they decided they wanted me to voice a character that actually had a face and a body and a lot more presence in the chapter, I can't remember exactly how they came to me, but I just remember they asked me to do a proper audition call where I got in a call with them and auditioned, and they gave me the turnaround sheet for Doey and some general references. I think the general reference they had was they wanted him to be kind of like Oogie Boogie. And I'm like, well, I probably shouldn't do Oogie Boogie because I feel like that performance is so unique and distinct. And also, Doey isn't necessarily like evil or anything. He's just a very eccentric character, and so we didn't exactly go with Oogie Boogie, but that was, I think, the zaniness of that character and kind of how he'll flip on the flip of a switch. He'll just kind of change his tone or his mood in some aspects. I think they wanted to kind of capture that, where very eccentric. As far as the actual voice for Doey, I actually tried to channel the tiniest bit, specifically in, one of the aspects of his voice. I tried to channel a little bit of the silly voice that we came up with when the Zamination folks were working with Mob Entertainment. They had a sister series where they would have Poppy Playtime characters appear called Fazbear Friends.
Yeah.
And I voiced a bunch of characters in that, but I voiced Huggy Wuggy in those. And his voice was always so, it was like, ooh, very silly and like, oh. And so we obviously we didn't want to go that hard and silly with Doey, but we tried to have like maybe an ounce of kind of where that voice is in how Doey talks, and so we tried to give him a little bit more of that bubbly kind of sound that what people call, I guess, emob huggy, I think is what people have been calling that. I tried to incorporate like a little bit of that, usually in the more like childish side of Doey. I tried to like let that slip out a lot more. As far as other aspects of the voice go, at this point, people have probably played the game, so you know that Doey consists of Kevin, Matthew, and Jack. And with Matthew, he's like the general voice that I usually try to default to most of the time, where his voice is very much like a little more confident, and he can be playful, but he's mostly like confident and leaderly. And then we switch to Jack a lot of the time. Whenever I giggle, that's usually Jack, and his voice tends to get a good bit more bubbly and a little more silly. He's got way more of the giggles, and then Matthew, I like basically drop the voice completely and just kind of shift into something more like this a lot of the time. I still try to keep the voice as much as I can, but there are some moments like when he's talking about interrogation rooms or like certain areas where his voice just completely drops and loses that is absolutely 100% Kevin talking in those instances. It was a very weird character to approach. It's because we had to keep all of those different aspects of how he talks, which kid, how to express which kid is talking and whatnot. There were some lines where we didn't exactly know for sure which kid should be talking. And so I would try to do a mix of several kids, or I would try to do, one or two passes as one kid and then one or two passes as another kid and just let them kind of play around with it and see what fits. Doey's very weird.
But cool.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. He gotta juggle all those different personalities, so I can only imagine.
My favorite instance of that, when you're trying to get through to Safe Haven and he passes you a thing and he's like, here, use this. I absolutely loved that because I'm pretty sure we did a few passes where we had him start series where he's like, here, use this. And then, we do like, here, use this. But I love that they just went for something that starts off so playful and then just gets dead serious. It's just really, really funny and unnerving.
Oh yeah, I think we got a lot of that with Elsie Lovelock's performance as Mommy in Chapter 2, from very playful to extremely sinister. So definitely,
oh yeah,
my favorite kinds of performances I've seen in Poppy so far.
Those are fun. Yeah, I really like it when a character is able to just on a dime just switch. And it's just kind of, it goes to show, for some characters, it just kind of goes to show how easy they snap or how they're always actually angry and the happy side is just kind of a facade that they're putting on, and it's easy for them to lose it.
Mm-hmm.
With Doey, obviously, he's actually just three children and has different personalities, and so it's like that switch is just really, really unique in that sense, because it's not necessarily that Doey is like one single person that just is experiencing those switches in personality. It's just that it's like a different kid taking control at any given time.
3 kids fighting for the driver's seat.
Fighting for the driver's seat. It's my turn, Kevin. No. Yeah.
Awesome. So, what was your initial reaction when you saw Doey's design and role in the game? Did it influence how you voiced him at all?
When I saw his design, I definitely thought that having a more bubbly, warm sound would be good for him. I wasn't sure how like animated they wanted him to sound, because with Doey and just with Poppy Playtime in general, some of the characters are very wacky and animated in some ways, but it's also a natural, grounded, realistic kind of game. So you want to have a good balance. And so with Doey, I tried not to go too extreme with things sounding overly cartoony, which in that sense, we wanted to have very natural reads and very like conversational aspects where it just sounds like you're talking to someone who's just a little silly sometimes, and also sometimes gets a little, let's just say, unnerving, specifically when you're talking to them and kind of Kevin's taking the driver's seat. Just you don't know how to feel around Doey, and I'm sure people have noticed, but Doey's voice is somewhat formant shifted, so it's not naturally where my voice tends to sit. So when I was actually recording Doey, I was trying to do a very subtle voice for the sake of making sure that conversations and dialogue sounded as actually natural as they possibly could. And so most of the game when I'm talking as Doey, I'm not actually putting on a voice this deep or talking like this. I'm actually talking more like this the entire time. So unpitch shifted, unformant shifted. Doey just kind of sounds like this. It's very, very small. It's a very small, subtle change. We wanted to approach it that way and form and shift it in the end because we wanted to not do something so extreme that would risk compromising the ability for conversations to sound as natural as they can. And I think that worked out great for Doey, especially because the way that character is, they're very much not human, or at least not physically. So having that little bit of a formant shift to his voice, I think, really kind of helps sell that. Especially if you listen closely, you can kind of hear a bit of a modulation effect to it that kind of sounds either wet or like there's multiple voices in there. And I think that kind of helps sell the fact that Doey is not just one individual.
Oh, kind of make me want to go back and try listening
If
really
you-
close to his voice now.
If you listen to the isolated voice clips, especially in the very beginning of the game, because someone's uploaded isolated voice clips, if you listen very closely, you can kind of hear that effect, especially with headphones. That there's a little modulation effect that kind of sounds like there's a slight chorus or a slight flanger flanger, I don't know what the word is, to the voice that just kind of makes it sound a bit wet, a bit like there's a second or third voice sneaking out in there. And that's something that the audio designers put in that I think was a good touch.
SirSmirkz, you beta tested this game. How did you not notice that before?
I don't want to hear it. Listen, I had to deal with a lot more than just listening to voices. I was falling through the floor half the time. Thank you very much.
Well, that's your own
Welcome to
fault.
beta testing. Welcome to beta testing.
Sometimes the floor wasn't even there.
Were the weird lighting issues still present in the beta as well?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we got flashbanged a ton.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it's the vine boom bug. Like all of it was still there.
I'm not gonna fault things too much. I know that when you release a game, there's gonna be issues, but I know that I in a lot of the I still haven't actually properly played the chapter myself, but I've watched a bunch of people play it, and I know that there's just a few puzzles where the lighting just goes absolutely super bright, and it's like
Yeah, no, that's been there for quite a bit. I don't actually.
It's been fixed now. Yeah, it's been patched.
Oh, good.
It absolutely has been patched. Except for there is one issue. I love it so much. After you beat Doey, your flashlight on your grab pack messes up and both of your hands become illuminated. This still isn't something they haven't fixed yet, so it looks like you have like rave hands.
Huh, interesting.
And it cracks me. You'll see exactly what I mean if you do play it, because you'll have to turn the flashlight off because it just illuminates your entire screen.
That's wacky. Okay.
So your character Rich has been part of Poppy Playtime since chapter 1. How has it been returning to the role across multiple chapters? And do you think he has a bigger role to play in the story?
So with Rich, he's the I think the first role I recorded was the scientist, but the Rich was the second one I recorded. I technically got both at the same time, but we started scientist and then we did Rich after. But Rich, when I first got the prompt to do the recording for him, it was really last minute. Like I think I recorded his dialogue. There was no reference. There was nothing. I was just told he was a disgruntled employee. That's all the information I got for him. And so I don't even think I had a general age range or anything. I just kind of made him as gruff and as like kind of not old, but like just rugged sounding as I did, just based off the very small description they gave me. I didn't think that he'd be quite as important as he is, where he's in like every single chapter. But I've loved getting to explore Rich because it's like you see him from the start. He's just not happy with this company and kind of his position, but you know that he loves the children to a degree. Like he's doing it for the kids, even with the bad work conditions that he's dealing with. He's just like,
It's for the orphans. I'll do it for the orphans. They deserve good toys.
And throughout the games, it's just you kind of see his character develop where he becomes a bit less embittered and more like he tries to be a better person for his wife, as he says in chapter 3. But you see just kind of him soften up a lot. And when we recorded for chapter 4, I remember it almost felt like I was trying to do something totally different with Rich while still keeping the voice the same, where we wanted him to be so much more tame and lighter and lighthearted. And it's like a juxtaposition to what he's always been, where you've always seen him as this angry, loud, like frustrated, absolutely bothered employee. And now he's in a leadership position. He's trying to encourage the younger employee and tell them that, hey,
I see a lot of what I used to be in you, and believe me, I've been where you are, and you're gonna do great. Just keep your chin up. Don't let people push you around.
like he's kind of more of a fatherly figure in that sense, and it's really cool to kind of see that with him. As far as his role in the story, I've seen so many theories about things with Rich. I've seen people say, "Oh, he's because of how bitter he is, he's the prototype," or "Oh, because he's been set up so much and certain things, he's the protagonist." I've seen all of these different theories about Rich. I've not been told anything about Rich, so I actually don't know. I can only theorize myself. I don't know exactly what they're gonna do with Rich, how they're setting him up. I don't think that he's the protagonist or the prototype. I could be wrong though. If he's either of them, then well, shoot, I guess I'll eat my shorts. That'd be pretty cool. But if anything, I think my theory is that the kid that Rich is talking to in chapter 4 is the protagonist. That's my personal theory, and he probably comes back for Rich or something. Like maybe that's my thought, but I have no idea. I'm really curious to see how it's going though, because I know Rich is important to some degree. He's definitely got some relevance to the overall story. Because if he didn't, he wouldn't be in every single chapter as a VHS tape with so much attention brought to him. So I'm very, very, very curious to see where they go with it. I almost want to ask them myself, but I don't think they'd tell me.
I'm gonna cry if your theory's true and the kid that he was talking to is the protagonist, because I have been very vocal and adamant about how badly I want to voice the main character. Like, we don't hear anything of them so far, and like I've just come to this conclusion, like, well, maybe we could have like a quick little monologue at the very end of the game, to the point where I even wrote one, but that will make me sad. But I also think that is a great theory.
I have no idea. I can only theorize because, again, they don't tell me stuff about like what happens later in the games. So I just kind of learn on a chapter by chapter basis.
SirSmirkz, what if Rich is still alive and he's been turned into a bigger body, Sir Poops a Lot, or Pet Stone, or an O in the oven?
That's the thing. I don't know. That would be unfortunately be a fitting thing for him to be like a Sir Poops a Lot. But who knows? We'd have to wait and see. I'm on the edge of my seat, kind of curious to see what they're doing with Rich as well. And I don't know exactly how they're approaching him. I got a hint from the voice director about something with Rich, but I obviously couldn't share it. And also it explained actually nothing to me either way. So I still don't know anything about like what is to come with that character or any of the characters really. Because I only know everything that's in chapter 4, sadly. But I'm also looking forward to seeing what they've got cooking.
I guess we will find out.
We shall.
Very excited to see the next Rich VHS.
I know. I want to know what they're going to do with him. Because, again, he's gone through such a natural progression of bitter. Chapter 1, he's just disgruntled and frustrated. He speaks out against the company about things that he doesn't like. The company finds out. Chapter 2, he gets demoted into the worst possible position, and he's frustrated and he's angry at the world and everything. Chapter 3, he's talking to management and he's a lot calmer, trying to be a better person, trying to be nicer and more thoughtful. And from there, it's just he's mellowed out a little bit, and obviously he's confronted with the idea of being promoted, and that's something crazy to him that he never thought he'd ever get, and so he's grateful for that. And then chapter 4, he's in that position, it seems like, and he's trying to be that fatherly figure and trying to keep everybody together and be, the best possible boss he can be, the best leader he can be. And he knows that things are bad at the workplace and that there's something going on, and that it's not necessarily as great as everybody is expected to believe it is. But he still got his chin up, and he's trying to keep everyone that he's in charge of kind of in the best headspace they can be, and show them that he loves them, that he cares about them, and wants the best for them. Which is another reason why I do understand that theory about Rich potentially being the protagonist, because it's like, if for whatever reason he just like survived and left, he'd want to go back for his boys that like are probably maybe still alive or are still there in some way. Want to go back. But also I could see that's also why I think it's probably the kid rather than Rich, is because the kid they said something about me disappearing and whatnot. There's obviously a lot of different metaphors and things for what that could mean. We know with how Poppy Playtime is. But I'm just thinking about like how that kid probably could have gotten out in some way, or just happened to not be at work that day, or whatever could have happened. And just, it's been a long time since then. So probably just heard something. It's like, oh, what if Rich is still alive? Let's go find out. And then comes back and tries to do things there and save whoever he can. That's kind of where my head is. But again, I don't know. I can only theorize.
It's just a theory.
A game theory.
Sidebar. I opened up this giant pack of fruit gushers, and every single one of them in here is burst, and I'm so sad.
No.
This is literally an analogy for my life right now. I'm not even joking.
Oh God, everything's falling apart.
Oh, my gushers have been gushed.
Shut up. I hate it.
Ah!
Sick Amber after you.
What is?
Yeah.
What?
Read
What
the
is
next
she gonna
question.
Bug me to death.
Bring on the next question.
Alrighty. Now, your most notable roles, as we just mentioned, Rich is one of them, being a recurring character. Also, recently established Doey from Chapter 4. But there's one more role I think a lot of people forgot about. Another most likely vital character that has been locked away behind the tutorial of a certain game called Project Playtime. Can you tell us anything about that?
Dude, I'm gonna be so actually real with you. They've never said anything about that role to me in any meaningful way. All they told me was, hey, we want you to do like this kind of tutorial sound. We want it to be a scary kind of voice. It'll just be like instructing the monsters on how to play their side of the game for Project Playtime. We just want to hear you do something maybe a little intimidating and deep and gravelly. And so I gave them, my attempt at what would be like kind of a venom kind of voice. And they were like, yeah, let's roll with that. And so I did all of my passes of,
The toys. The others are hungry. The others are starving. Get up.
I tried to do the best, like, villainous, deep, scary, intimidating voice I could. They've never told me if there's anything more to that, like, voice or character. Obviously, the phrase "get up" is something that you see a lot in the game over screens in Poppy Playtime. So I know there's a lot of theories about that being the voice of the prototype, or at least the true voice of the prototype, or a, like, menacing voice for the prototype of some way. Unfortunately, I don't have a very good, crystal clear answer on that because they've not informed me. As far as I've been told on all the paperwork and every communication I've ever had with the folks at Mob, that is simply monster tutorial voice. I'm going to tell you this, they are really good at keeping their secrets and whatnot, because there are projects where I'll be told things and it's like, okay, you got to keep it secret though, and I have to lie. In this case, completely dragon fruit, not even joking, no lie, swear on my mother's life. I'll go that far. They've told me actually nothing, which
Damn.
sucks. Because I want to know if I'm the prototype, that'd be sick. But also it'd be weird because I'm also a main character in one of the other chapters too. So it's like, why would they double cast me in that sense?
Why not though?
Why not though? That is the case. Who knows? You never know. But again, I just don't know. So I'm waiting with bated breath to see kind of where they're going with that. Because if I get to do stuff for the prototype, that'd be sick. But I'm not gonna hold my breath on that. Still glad to get to do something menacing for the tutorial voice, regardless.
Oh yeah, it's like for just a tutorial voice, I know it stuck with me for a long time. It was like it just felt so well done, and it felt so important to me that I couldn't forget about it. I had to dig deep, like the day before. I'm like, there's one thing I want to ask him, and I gotta remember what the hell that was. And it's like, oh wait, Project Playtime, you
The
did something
monster
for that.
tutorial voice. Yeah. Yep. I was glad they thought of me.
That voice you did though was so. I can't get over how amazing your range is. Seriously,
you.
like, it kills me.
It's so funny because when people saw that I was Doey, they were like, "What? I didn't even know." Like, usually you sound exactly the same, and I'm like, "Well, you didn't know that I was Rich or the scientist either. You've played these games? How did you not know I was those?" You don't like. I'm always grateful when I get to play around with character voices and do something different that is like further out from what people expect of me, because when people don't even know that it's me, I'm always like really pleased, because it's like I personally think that with voice acting, as cool as it is to be recognized, I think it's even cooler when nobody thinks of the voice, they think of the character. The voice is secondary to, I really like this character. And I think that with like Rich, for instance, I'll use them, and to a degree Doey, because people didn't seem to recognize my voice for Doey. They're not thinking about the voice actor; they're thinking about the character, and I like that kind of approach and way of looking at things, because I know that I get to in my own head listening to a voice and being like, that is this voice actor. I know this voice actor. And then you hear them talk, and you're just like, okay, voice actor. You just say their name, when that kind of takes away from the character itself. So I always like it when a voice is relatively further away from kind of a voice actor's voice that you would recognize.
I can definitely say when I played Poppy for the first time, did not know that you were Rich's voice actor until the very end when I watched the credits. And then when we just played Chapter 4, and again, thanks, Mom, for giving us early access. When your name came up in the credits as Doey, and I think SirSmirkz was on a call with me, I was like, what the hoot? Just like, what? Had no idea. Completely blew my mind.
Just like, Jesus Christ. Okay.
I also had no idea, and I've had the game in my hands for a while. I don't even think the credits were updated at a point, so I was still like, who
did that?
I'm clueless.
It was me. I did it. Ha
So, if you had to describe Doey's personality in 3 words, what would they be?
He's 3 kids.
Oh my god.
So let's see. In 3 words, his personality. I guess I would just use 1 word for each kid, which is leader. We've got leader for Matthew. We've got bitter for Kevin. Could be angry. I'd probably say more bitter for Kevin. And then for Jack, we've got innocent, like innocence, because he's just got that childlike innocence where he's not particularly sad at all times. He goes through the most innocent childlike emotions of like being unabashedly freely happy, or being like absolutely crybaby sad and scared and frightened. He's got the most innocent range of emotions. So I'd probably just go with that. I'd say like leader, bitter, and innocence. Just 3 different words, for 1 for each kid.
Or he's 3 kids. I like either of them.
I like he's 3 kids. That's also just a really good way of saying he's 3 kids.
He's 3 kids.
That's a good way to put it.
Oh, that was funny. Oh my god. Poppy Playtime is being made into a movie, which all of his partners and the fans are super excited for. Tell me, if asked, would you consider acting or voicing a character in the film?
Dude, can I be so real? I would I'm getting a little older. I'm about to be 30 and I'm starting to see myself look a little more like weathered as time goes on. I absolutely would love to try and look like what physically I would imagine Rich looks like. I would absolutely love to do that. I'm not gonna lie. But if Rich is a really important character, I'm sure they'd give it to a celebrity, which I understand. But if they ever gave me the opportunity to be like an employee of some kind, like just some kind of character roaming around that appears, dude, 100% I'd take it. Yeah, I would love to have the chance to kind of appear, but I would only do it if they also promised that they would do that for others in the cast. Like if Elsie got to do something, or if Nola got to do stuff, or Robin, or anyone else in like the main cast. If a lot of them got to do little things here and there where they at least played some kind of character that appears, whether it's a small role or not, that's how I'd want to approach it. Is so long as we're all together doing fun stuff, even if it's just like we have one scene where like there's a conference room thing and you just see a bunch of miscellaneous characters sitting at a table and it would just be like me, Elsie, Nola, and others. I would not be opposed to that. Even if it's just like a glorified cameo. It'd just be really cool just to kind of celebrate being a part of that.
No. So I've been asking that question in every interview because even if someone's nervous to be like, "Hey, mob, fingers together, I would really like to be in the movie," I can at least put this out there because I know people from mob are going to watch this, and they've watched the previous ones. But I want them to see that yes, the people who are making your game come to life would also like to be a part of this film as well.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Like that would be really, really, really cool. Just because, again, seeing something grow to the extent that it has, and to be able to kind of recognize the accomplishments of folks that have worked on it and give them at least a little bit of like, hey, let's bring you in to do a little something for the movie. I don't expect it, and I certainly, know that there are certain things when it comes to making a film and doing things where you can't always promise certain things. So I would never expect that we would be brought back to do anything for it. But if they're given that opportunity and that is something that is possible, that is something that absolutely, if asked, I would totally come back for.
You heard it, mob. Make it happen.
Make it happen. I will return.
Even if it's like, even if it's just a small character, if it's trying to look like what you imagine Rich looks like, which he's faceless, so he could look like anything, I would not be opposed to like being on camera, make myself look a little more weathered, and being like,
This job is making me want to kill myself.
I'm not opposed to doing that.
I love how you also just said you either turned or about to turn 30, and I'm over here sitting like, yay, I'm 35.
Hooray! I'm 29. I turned 30 in June.
It all goes downhill once you hit 35. That's when you start
Okay.
feeling that it's going to rain in your knees.
What?
You've been
I
warned.
believe it. I'll be on the lookout. I'll do my best not to get to that point. Wait, that sounds like I'm gonna die before 35. I'm not going to. Oh, I got my cat making biscuits next to me. Hi, Rose.
I say I have like 10 years left till I get to that point.
Yeah, baby.
I'm gonna punch you out of the window.
What? Why?
Just
What
know
did I do?
why.
How dare you be young?
Exactly.
Oh, that part. No, oh yeah, I get called grandpa by some of my friends.
Yeah, because the internet thinks that if you're over like 20 years old, you're an old man.
Literally.
Yeah,
Unless you're Markiplier. And then it doesn't matter what age you are.
you're youthful forever.
Yep, you could be 40, and everyone's just like, "It's Marky Moo."
It drives me
So
nuts. Because people in the Poppy Playtime Discord, like, we poke fun at my age, and I'm fine with it. But they're like, oh my god, you're so old. I'm like, you realize that Markiplier and I are the same freaking age, right?
Yeah. Yep. Also, that's a comparison I've gotten a lot. Is I see so many people be like, "I thought Doey was Markiplier." How? I don't know. I don't really hear it. I hear more Markiplier in Rich if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah, no, I could see that.
But yeah, I know that I've gotten that comparison just where, because I have like my deeper voice, just unfortunately or fortunately, however you choose to look at it, people are just like, wow, it sounds like Markiplier. So I just kind of play into that sometimes just because it's funny.
Hello, everybody. My name is Markiplier, and welcome to Let's Play.
Or whatever. And so it's like with Rich, his voice is just kind of,
In that gravelly place where if I lighten it up a little bit, maybe it sounds a little more like Mark just talking very quietly or casually to a degree.
I don't know, but it's something that is certainly unintentional, but people are gonna pick up on that and be like, "Wow, it's a Markiplier." I'm like, no, it's not.
If he ever needed somebody just to be like, I need someone to dub my videos for me, I hope they would hire you because oh my god, that was so close to him.
Dude, I know people that sound more like Markiplier than I do.
No, that was pretty spot on, dude.
I feel like my Markiplier voice sounds like someone doing a parody of Markiplier. Like that's sort of how I've always heard my. But again, everyone is their own worst critic, so I'm probably just being more harsh on myself. But I don't know if they ever wanted to do something like that. I would not be opposed to like trying to voice match Mark for stuff with his permission. I would never, do something that goes against a person's wishes. Like I wouldn't voice something and like say I'm Markiplier or let people say that it's Markiplier or, do something intentionally malicious in that voice because that's certainly not
Yeah,
great.
not at all.
There's been a lot of fan art. What has been your reaction to any of it? Or have you seen any?
Oh, I've seen so much of it. Can I be honest? Like with Doey, I absolutely love all of the fan art, specifically some of the fan animations and fan art, where it's the three kids kind of trying to take the steering wheel inside of Doey, like and they're represented by colors, where it's like, you know, Kevin is always red. I think orange. Orange is orange Matthew, and then yellow is
Yeah, they
Jack.
they like picking orange for Matthew.
Yeah, like yellow is Jack, orange is Matthew, red is Kevin. I love all of the fan art where it's like you kind of see them just kind of as colors bonding with each other internally or making decisions together, and you kind of see that reflect in Doey as a being, and just kind of there's also one in particular that someone did that was creative where they made modified versions of Doey where you can kind of tell based on how Doey looks which person is in the driver's seat. I really like that approach to Doey where he just kind of actually changes his form just a little bit and you can physically see which kid is in control. I really like that. But there's been a bunch of fan art that's been really cool and fan animations. I've seen so much and everybody's been super super talented. And I really like the one that's like the dance party ending where everybody lives that someone did. That was I don't know if you guys have seen that.
I have,
I
yeah, I
have.
loved it.
Yep.
That's so funny. Pianosaurus didn't get eaten, dude.
If you have a few pieces saved that you really liked and you want to send them over to me to put in the description of the video, that would be awesome.
Oh, I'll have to go through my likes on Twitter, but I know that I've liked some, so I can send that to you after this. I'll go ahead and find some and send them over your way.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Alrighty, so now for Amazing Digital Circus and other things.
Holy crap!
Jax from the Amazing Digital Circus has quickly become a fan favorite. What do you think makes him stand out, and how much of your own personality do you bring to him?
Jax is an asshole. Jax is a huge piece of crap, but obviously there's something going on with him internally. You know, he's an asshole for a reason. You know, there's a lot of theories people have on why he's deeply troubled. Clearly, something's going on in his head. So a lot of people think that he's just kind of pushing people away because he's insecure or he's scared, and I could definitely see a lot of that. There's definitely something to his character, and I try to kind of when doing his lines, he's basically trying to come across as snarky and overconfident as possible. So he's basically just kind of putting on this super super upbeat, super mean persona just to kind of instill this level of confidence in himself that he clearly lacks internally. And I can definitely relate to that. I wouldn't say that I do the same things as him because I try not to be an asshole if I can help it. I if anything, I feel like I relate more to my other glitch character, N, just kind of in being super stupidly optimistic in a lot of ways and trying to be as like courteous and nice as possible in most situations. So in that sense, I think I'm kind of opposites with Jax as far as that goes, but it's always a fun challenge looking into a character like that and thinking, okay, why is he being an asshole? What's going on? And trying to dig into, okay, how do I sound more like a prick here? And just kind of play into that because I don't let myself do that really. So it's fun to explore that side of things as far as Jax goes. But yeah, I try to insert in every character we voice. There's always going to be a part of ourselves that we insert into them, and don't take that the wrong way. Didn't mean it like that, but the wording wasn't great. But yes, there's always like some little part of us that like we bring to the character, whether intentionally or unintentionally. And with Jax, I think I can relate to the fact that he's clearly got like internal struggles that he's trying to kind of shove away and not show to anyone else. He doesn't want people to know that he's troubled. And Lord knows I can relate to that. I don't want to inconvenience others. I don't want to trouble others. I get scared, and that's something that, you know, I think Jax is going through, or at least that's kind of how I've interpreted a lot of his things is being that way. And that's sort of what I've put into a lot of my reads for him. As far as what actually is happening with Jax, we shall learn very soon. We're basically almost halfway through the show, and episode 5 shouldn't be too terribly far off. And that's a big one for Jax and Ragatha. So
Ooh.
you'll learn a little more about that character in time.
I was gonna say, you don't have days where you just want to throw your friends in a deep fryer? Because I know I want to do that to Tibber sometimes.
That's so rude.
I mean, pretty funny idea, pretty funny thing to do to a friend. With Jax, I'll give him this. Episode 4 is a really funny one for me because Jax is so out of his element because the adventure they're doing, the fast food adventure, is just so grounded and realistic, and he's so acclimated to things being wacky and not realistic that like him throwing Ragatha in the deep fryer is his way of being like, look at this totally wacky thing that like would never happen in real life that I can totally do here. And then Gangle's just like, nah, no, we're doing it by the books. This is a real life kind of adventure. We're doing things realistically here. And then from then on, it's just Jax just constantly out of his element. He gets bitter and frustrated and is bored and not stimulated in any way. And it's just depressing. It's kind of really funny to see him just kind of descend into frustration.
The biggest mood from that episode is when he got into his car at the very end and just like looked so depleted. And I'm like, everybody knows what this feels like.
Dude, for real. That is such a real feeling. Like he doesn't even probably leave the parking lot for a while. He's just in the car. He's just like, I'm done. You just sit there and think, and you're like, that day sucked.
Sorry, Tibbers. I'll throw you in a deep fryer later. I was gonna quickly just throw in there's like Jax personally for me, he's been one of my favorite characters in the series so far, just because I always feel like I found it way easier to be drawn to a protagonist, like, you know, Pomni, etc., or just in any other piece of media. But like Jax has been my favorite because it's easy to like a good guy. It's more interesting to try to like a bad guy, but not saying that he's like, you know, bad, but
Like
just
I don't think that Jax is like intentionally a villain or anything. I think that if anything, he's just a character that he's complex. He's complicated. He's got stuff. He's got baggage, and he doesn't want people to know it. He doesn't want people to know who he is. He wants to be as vague about everything as possible and just kind of exist. And so he puts on the face that he puts on for everybody and is, you know, is this version of himself that he thinks everyone expects him to be. It's just really cool to kind of see that get broken down a little bit here and there. The fast food episode obviously being a big one that kind of showcased that, just especially with how casual he is when interacting with Pomni by the end of the day. He's like, how you doing? Eh. Like, he's just so defeated that he's just a normal dude. It's kind of weird to see.
Yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to him slowly unraveling.
As of this recording, I'm allowed to say, because because Goose talked about it. As of this recording, I've recorded 7 episodes, and I've read the script for 8, and we've only got one more episode that we get to read the script for, because it's a 9-episode series. I am so curious for how they're gonna wrap things up, what they're doing with the show, because it's such a weird show.
It is.
That's all I can say is it's a really weird show.
It's weird, but I love it.
Oh yeah, it's cool. I really, really like it. It's one of my favorite things I've ever worked on. I'd go as far as to say it's my favorite project I've worked on. Jax isn't my favorite character I've voiced, but it's my favorite project I've worked on just because I love Digital Circus.
So, if Jax was playing the main character in Poppy Playtime, what would his reaction be to seeing Doey's monster form?
Honestly, Jax's reactions to a lot of things in Poppy Playtime would be, I don't even know like where he'd be with Doey throughout the game, just because I feel like he would be just kind of, he'd be like, all right, I'm just gonna kill everyone I see. Like he wouldn't be going back to save anybody. He'd just be going back to cause like bloodshed and chaos and death and destruction and just kind of kill off everything. If we're going for like standard Jax persona stuff. So with Doey, he'd probably enter his monster form really quickly, just because he'd try to intentionally kill Jax. Why did I say Jack? What the?
Yeah.
Jack. We got Jack. No. He's we'd probably see a more deadly version of Doey pretty fast. I think that Jax would probably make fun of him because like he'd see the 3 children kind of spitting out of his mouth and is like, he'd probably just poke fun at the fact that he's. I'm trying to think exactly like how to be creative with this, because Jax I feel like is snarky and intelligent in how he insults people. I'm not. And so with Doey, at least his monster form, I honestly thought that the monster form would actually be like way like larger. I thought it'd be huge. When I was doing the script and reading everything, I thought he was going to be like this massive monster. Like I was thinking like maybe not perfect chaos from Sonic Adventure, but like I was thinking he'd be like way more huge and like maybe gluttonous or something. I didn't expect him to be more like reptilian. I feel like Jax would just comment on how like large he is and how thin Jax is. Like it's like, oh, you think you're gonna be able to catch me? I can just hide in a crevice. You'll never get me. You got 3 kids popping out of your mouth. You're stupid. You're just a bunch of stupid kids.
I also feel like he'd call Doey a dried up piece of clay.
Oh, he probably would. You dried up piece of clay. Doey is just, you know, I feel like none of the kids like Jax like Jax wouldn't get along with any of them. Like Jack, Kevin, Matthew. I feel like all of them would just kind of see Jax's character and be like,
You're just really, really like mean and cold, and we don't need someone like you here.
I feel like not a single one of them would like Jax. I don't think I think only Kevin would really try to harm him, but I think that they would just try to like avoid him as a whole.
I want to watch Jax hunt Poppy somewhere.
I want to see Jax just like try and go through this factory filled with toys and monsters and just be like, whatever, this is a really stupid adventure, Caine.
I self-inserted myself as Pianosaurus.
Oh, Pianosaurus. You were missed in the first 5 seconds you left.
Poor Alex Roshan only got to do like a voice for a little bit.
I had no idea that was him either.
Yeah, that's Caine's voice actor from Digital Circus voicing Pianosaurus. I mean, it's a testament though. It's a good thing that like you don't instantly hear a person's voice and think, "Ah, it's that character." Because then it just kind of takes you out of it sometimes
Yeah.
if you're just if the first thing you think of is I recognize that voice, it's like good. Now I'm just gonna associate a voice with like a voice actor or another character that has the same voice with this character.
You know, that is absolutely true. That happened to me actually recently with a certain game I enjoy here and there, Garden of Banban.
Oh yeah.
I think what the very first at the very beginning of the game, I heard the voice of Chibi Doki, a
A
little
streamer, yeah, VTuber,
yeah
right?
yeah little gremlin anime girl, and the moment I heard her voice, because it was too distinct, too iconic. I'm like, oh, I know. I just kept calling the character her name at that point. I was like, oh, this isn't this isn't my little crappy band character. This is that
Yeah.
person.
And I'm self-aware enough that like I know that a lot of people can recognize when I voice a certain like type of character, and so they're probably just like, oh, there's the Michael Kovach character, and so they just kind of probably if they don't know a character's name, they'll just say, oh, it's Michael Kovach. What's up, Michael Kovach? And it's like I think it's funny, and I'm not like upset by that at all because I totally understand. I do the same thing with friends or other voice actors I recognize. If anything, I feel kind of honored that people can just point out my voice like that. I think it's a cool thing.
Yeah, I mean, it shows that a lot of people have paid attention,
Yeah,
and they
exactly.
definitely like hearing your voice. That's a good thing. I know Tivers
And
doesn't want to hear mine half the time.
and then you get people that are like, I'm fucking sick of this dude. I'm like, I get it, bro. I understand. I'm sick of me too.
Oh my god. SirSmirkz, first off, you're grounded. Second off, Michael,
Can't do that.
yes, I can. Second off, Michael, I'm so sorry that I just realized that I've been pronouncing your last name incorrectly this entire time. So
Dude,
my first apologies
dude,
there.
don't even sweat it. Everybody does. And don't worry also, I'm probably mispronouncing it as well because I know another person with my last name and they say Kovac. So I actually don't know how my last name is officially pronounced. I know people with my last name that say Kovac, and I'm the only person I know with my last name that says Kovac. There's a what's funny is going back to Jax, the Hungarian voice for Jax is a guy whose last name is also Kovac, but it's the Hungarian spelling, the original spelling, which is Kovacs. I listened to the voiceover for the credits that pronounces it in Hungarian because when they dub the shows, because they can't change the text in the credits, they have a disembodied voice that basically says the names of the actors and their characters to give them credit in the episodes. And I listened to the voice that says the actor's name, and they said Balint Kovac. And I'm like, Kovac! That's how it's pronounced. That's my name. So I'm pretty sure it's Kovac, but could be wrong. I don't know.
Alrighty. So you've worked with Glitch Productions on Murder Drones as well, but how does working on the amazing, the amazing, the amazing?
You just want to start back over on that one.
Yeah, sure. Leave me alone. You worked with Glitch Productions on Murder Drones as well. How does working on the Amazing Digital Circus compare to your experience voicing in?
Well, with Murder Drones, that was my first time working with Glitch, and for the pilot for that, I worked on it with Liam, the creator, Liam Vickers, and it was really fun because I knew Liam from Cliffside. I'd seen his previous animated film that he made, Cliffside, and I really liked that and was super excited to work with him on Murder Drones. And when that ended up getting a full season, we ended up having the actual manager at Glitch who also would do voice direction every now and again, voice direct us for the rest of the series instead of Liam, a lady named Jasmine. And she's also very, very cool and very sweet. And I've always had a great time recording with her. But as far as things go, It's generally been pretty professional and straightforward working on murder drones. Not really too much to note with it. It was pretty standard. We would hop in like a Discord call. I almost said Skype. Dude, Skype's been dead for years, and it's actually officially dying. So can't say that anymore. But we would hop in Discord calls and do our sessions, and they'd usually last anywhere from like an hour to 2 hours at most. With Digital Circus, that one is fully directed by Gooseworks, who I've been friends with since like 2019, 2018 maybe 2019 I'd say, because I worked with them back in the Has-Been days on the Has-Been pilot, and I worked with them on another thing called Darlie Boxman that they made. She's Gooseworks. She's always been a really cool, really good friend. And when the pilot for Digital Circus came out, we all knew that it was something special before it even got as many insane views as it got. Everyone in the cast, we all really were just hyper fixated on it, to the extent that we actually made a group chat with everybody in it that we've lovingly called Raising Canes. And what's funny is that group chat that we made became the official like Discord like group chat that we use to talk and discuss things about the show. We brought the manager for Glitch in there. We brought Gooseworks in there. We actively use that chat all the time to talk about like episode scripts or planning for things, planning for events, and just to share things that we've experienced and talk and shoot the shoot. We talk in there almost all the time, and we've all become great friends. And it's kind of nuts, actually. I love N and Murder Drones. That show meant so much to me, and especially the character of N. I relate to him a bunch. I'd say that N is one of my favorite characters I've ever gotten to voice. But just the community and just how much we all instantly bonded together over Digital Circus, it's kind of insane. Just kind of how everyone in that cast instantly basically became great friends, and we're all talking all the time and trying to collaborate as much as we can and do conventions and all these other sorts of things. I'm actually doing my very first convention with Elsie of all people, like for Murder Drones, because me and Elsie, voice of Mommy Longlegs, and Poppy, Nola Klopp, we all were in Murder Drones, obviously. And I don't know about Nola, but me and Elsie at least, we've got 2 conventions together, which we've never done a convention before. So I'm really excited for us to like potentially get some collaborative prints made, maybe where it's like an N and Uzi print, maybe a Doey and Mommy Longlegs print, even though we've never actually seen them interact together. I think it'd be cool to have some things like that, because Elsie's really cool. I got to hang out with her in London a year and a half ago, and we just kind of shot the shit and hung out. But getting to meet your fellow actors and do things with them and become friends outside of the projects you work on is just such a cool experience, and something you don't get with a lot of projects. It's usually just so professional. It's really cool when you can actually bond with the folks you're working with.
That is really cool. And also I love Elsie. She was the first person that actually agreed to do an interview with me. She's great. She really is.
Oh, Elsie's wonderful. I love Elsie. Everybody is so cool. And I always really love when we have opportunities to kind of be together and to interact outside of just work stuff.
It's always the best. That's why I love going to conventions, is I get to see people I normally don't get to see a lot and hang out.
Exactly.
Without a computer screen in front of us.
Exactly. It's like a really good it feels like a good excuse and reason to be able to see friends.
So in Fazbear and Friends, you also voice quite a few characters, but one of my favorites that you've done is Bendy.
Woo!
So much that it even has its own redeem on my Twitch channel, because I just love it so much. Which of the characters you voiced from Fazbear and Friends is your favorite, and do you have a favorite line or bit from the show that you've done?
Oh my God, it's Bendy. Easily Bendy. Like Bendy is just so silly and fun. So Zach and Micah, Zachary, the Preciado brothers. Well, I'll just say the Zams, because that's what we always call them, is the Zams. When the Zams approached me about doing Fazbear and Friends, so that's actually, I'm going on a little tangent first. I actually started working with the Zams first on Fazbear and Friends, because they were obviously affiliated with Mob at the time, and It was because we worked on Fazbear and Friends that they even brought me in to record for Poppy Playtime, which is kind of really funny. So Fazbear and Friends came first, and then from there they were like, do these little bits in Poppy Playtime. Tangent aside, Bendy is easily my favorite because when they asked me to try for a voice for Bendy, they wanted it to be like a Mickey Mouse voice, and so I was like, okay, I can kind of do a Mickey Mouse voice, but I specifically wanted to do the Chris Diamantopoulos Mickey Mouse voice from the shorts, the Paul Rudish shorts.
Mhm.
I don't know if you've seen those, the ones that harken back to the classic Mickey kind of art style, but they're more modern and they're really silly and stupid. It's the Mickey Mouse in there is just like they're just really silly and they constantly shift between different sounds. And so I tried to like really emulate that with Bendy. It's basically just an impression of that Mickey Mouse. And I just love how absolutely over the top and cartoonishly silly he can be. My actual favorite line is it was just it's not even the shut up Boris. That part was fun in the one short we did, but it's specifically the part before it's like, "Oh, mighty ink demon, we offer you this sacrifice. Cleanse him of all his imperfections." You know, and just the "Shut up, Boris," where it just shifts the voice back down to like my natural voice, just yelling. We did takes for that where it was me still doing the Bendy voice, but we also wanted to have options where I wanted to break voice because I thought it'd be really funny. They hadn't even considered the idea of breaking voice, and it just turned out so good that like whenever we can, or well, since Fazbear and Friends hasn't happened in like, it's so funny. I still am like, it only feels like just a few days ago that we recorded like Fazbear and Friends to me because it's like we did that for so long and so consistently that like it's so weird that we haven't done it in so long.
Meanwhile.
We're all here? Good. Thank you all for coming to this meeting. I have an exciting announcement to make. Drum roll. We're bringing back Fazbear and Friends. Wait, now, okay, just don't freak out.
That has got to be within the top 1 worst ideas I've ever heard.
I thought we were done being content farming.
We are, trust me, this is gonna be good. Let me just show you.
All right, fine. But this better be good. I've got a reputation to uphold.
Oh, thank you, Bendy. This is gonna be great, believe me, guys.
But whenever we had done them, if we ever found places where we could try to squeeze it in, we would try to do takes where Bendy would break voice. And I think we only ever did it a few times. I'd say that Bendy is like my actual favorite that I've gotten to do. Second being Huggy Wuggy, just the stupid ooh.
Why was that even there?
We have a gnat problem.
I'm coming, Elliot. Are those lasers? Oh, I think I'm good.
Kind of noises that I made for him were always really funny for me.
It's so funny that you mentioned that specific Bendy clip because that's the one that plays on my Twitch stream.
Oh, that's awesome.
This exact
What, the
same
Shut
one.
Up, Boris?
Yes, that entire segment plays because I love it so much. Someone sent it to me on a whim after I played Bendy for the first time. I think it was SirSmirkz that convinced me to play Bendy. And after I saw that, I was hooked. I was like, this is my new favorite thing now.
Oh boy, you're in for a real treat, let me tell you.
Oh, mighty ink demon!
Oh, mighty ink demon.
We offer you this sacrifice!
We offer you this sack of rice.
Cleanse him of all his imperfections!
Steer clear of all the intersections.
And return him to his perfect state!
Take a left turn on the interstate.
Boris, shut up!
Boris, shut up.
Hell yeah. I still have never played any of the Bendy games.
You should. Especially Dark Revival. Dark Revival's so good.
I've heard that it was really good. I've only ever played chapter 1 of Poppy Playtime. I've seen Let's Plays of like all of them, but I've only ever actually played the first chapter. Dude, and I've never played or even looked at anything like official from the games for Five Nights at Freddy's. I know so little about FNAF. It's crazy.
It's okay. I'm in that same boat because I've only played Security Breach, the DLC, and then recently Into the Pit. But I bought the encyclopedia so I can like try and get caught up because I have no idea what's happening in that universe at all.
I I mean, some people would say that's for the best. Some people would say you're missing out.
Yeah.
I mean, try it on your own pace. I would say they're pretty good games. Just stay away from the theories.
Yeah, there's plenty of those.
Here's what I will say though. You so far are the only voice actor from Poppy that I've talked to that has at least played a chapter.
Really?
No one else has played them. They've watched people play them, but they've not played them themselves.
Oh, I played a chapter. My whole thing is like I usually love watching the things I'm in and playing them too. I'm gonna be so real though. I'm not really into the kind of video games that Poppy Playtime is.
Mhm.
I'm not really super into horror games or games just of that general nature. I'm so lame. I play like Spyro, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro. I like playing collectathon platformer adventure games. I don't even really play many RPGs or anything. I'm pretty old school, I'd say, as far as gaming goes. Most of the indie games I play are things like A Hat in Time or Celeste or games like that, Metroidvanias or just any kind of adventure platformer game. I am super, super casual.
No, that's cool. I love Spyro and I love Crash too. We actually were just talking in our previous interview with Baldwin how much we would love like a Poppy Playtime platformer type game.
Oh, that'd be so fun. I'd probably play that. I do want to actually play through the games like proper. I'd probably do it on stream though. The only reason I played chapter 1 of Poppy Playtime is because I did it on stream.
You should play it on stream.
Yeah, I think that'd be a fun experience. Yeah, especially now that chapter 4 is, has been out for a while. It's like that's the one that I'm predominantly in, or prominently in. So it's like I should probably play that and talk about things as they come up in the chapter.
Definitely be cool. Get some insight from you on interacting with the character you voiced.
Oh yeah, of course.
There's a lot of cool things in the chapters. I think a lot of the side stories are really cool when you come across them. So definitely worth the experience.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of lore and a lot of things to really keep in mind with Poppy. And I'm sure it's the same with any other game like Bendy or Five Nights at Freddy's, where you just like look for every little thing. There's so much story that isn't necessarily put directly in front of you that you have to seek out and like kind of investigate and find yourself.
Yeah, no, that's I think a very good way of storytelling is letting the players or just shows, movies, etc. just discovering yourself versus being told everything. That's definitely
Which is
coolest way
also
about
kind
it.
of funny to me because it's like I feel like a lot of people that never knew that I was even involved in Poppy Playtime to begin with. It's because a lot of them probably either dismissed the VHS tapes and didn't really seek them out as much, or again, it could be the case where they just didn't recognize the voice. But I'm gonna assume that in a lot of cases, there are just people that probably play the base game and don't really think to collect the VHS tapes or the journals or anything. Which you're missing so much if you don't find those. Like there's
Yeah,
so much core information that you're absolutely missing out on that you wouldn't even like some things won't even make sense if you don't.
it's definitely something you have to go out of your way to do. So that's totally fair take, and I think a majority of it is definitely true, especially from what I've seen from a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
You've also worked in anime dubbing. What's been your favorite anime role so far, and how does dubbing anime compare to voicing video games or original animations?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. So with dubbing anime, that's something I actually never ever expected I'd be able to do because I work outside of the Texas, LA, New York atmosphere because those are the places where they have anime usually. And we didn't get to start dubbing anime more remotely until the pandemic in 2020. And things have changed again where we do less anime remote now. So I haven't gotten to do anime in a few years, unfortunately. But I'm so grateful I even had that opportunity for a little bit. I got to work on a few shows from my first ever one was a show called Akudama Drive, and then my second one was a lead role, which is crazy. A lot of people have to like do a ton of anime before they book a lead. And I got like a main character role, the main character in a show called Dragon Goes House Hunting, which wasn't a super popular anime, but it was still really, really fun. Did a show called Ame Warrior at the Borderline. Did some characters in a show called Kingdom, Prince of Tennis, probably a few other things I just can't remember off the top of my head. But as far as my favorite one, I had so much fun recording for the character Letty the Dragon in Dragon Goes House Hunting. They were a very like innocent, very childish, and just generally cowardly dragon that got kicked out of daddy's home because they didn't watch over the eggs properly, like their father's eggs. And some of them went missing and they got kicked out and abandoned by his father. And it's basically like just an episodic anime of just this cowardly dragon that finds a demon lord who is also a real estate agent and is like, he's like, I'll help you find a house. And it's like, oh, great. Yeah, let's find a good house. And it's just like house touring every single episode. And like, they're different places, like a haunted mansion, like different villages and a castle and other things. It's just a very silly premise. And the characters are very wacky. And I had a lot of fun with that show. As far as the process for dubbing anime, it's very different from what I usually do because most of the work I do is prelay. For context, prelay is when you record something and you don't really have as much to work off of. You have a script with words and you have direction, like from a voice director maybe, and they'll tell you, okay, this is a funny scene, so make it like kind of funny, or this is a serious scene. And so you'll kind of work with that and you basically dictate kind of the pacing and the energy and everything for the read. And they animate to your voice and you kind of see how the finished product ends up looking from there. With anime, you're dubbing over something that's already been animated and is completely done in Japanese. So you have picture and you have to match lip flaps. And a lot of the time you have to make sure the script fits those lip flaps and is natural and sounds good. And there are so many instances where we would record something and the script would be not great. And so we'd have to rewrite things on the fly and try to make them fit. And, matching lip flaps is technically more of a challenge because you have to keep in mind sort of how long the line needs to be and how many flaps there are and try to fit all of your words into those flaps. So you've got very specific timing with how you can deliver a line, which makes it a little harder to make creative choices when making deliveries and saying lines in an anime dub. I still think that they're really fun though. And it's a fun challenge. I never saw it as being that difficult because most of my early days as a voice actor was doing fan dubs where I would match lip flaps anyway.
Mhm.
So I had a lot of experience just kind of doing that on my own for fun. So it kind of was a natural transition for me. But technically, anime is more challenging, I would say. And I honestly thought it was really fun having to work with those limitations. I think working with limitations kind of makes you make creative, distinct choices as an actor. While I haven't done anime in a while, I certainly do hope that at some point I get that chance again, whether it be remotely or I fly down or something to do one, because that is a side of things in voice acting that while it's not what I primarily do, it's still really fun, and I've always enjoyed that experience.
That is so cool. And I've seen Dragon Ghost House Hunting, and I actually really liked that.
It's cute. I love that one. My favorite anime that I've actually worked on is Akudama Drive because I really like the premise for that one. It's by the same people that made like Danganronpa. I
Mhm.
don't know if you know the Danganronpa games, but the person Kodaka that made those games basically made Akudama Drive, and I voice a minor character in that who's just like a little bunny on a stick, just a little intermission character that just talks about like,
The government is so cool. We love the government. Propaganda, propaganda.
but that show is just really, really cool. It's basically about like a bunch of domestic terrorists trying to fight through or trying to save these two children and kind of going against the system because there's a very flawed political atmosphere and system. There's a lot to kind of cover, but it's a very interesting show with very, very fun, dynamic characters. Anime. Haha.
I'll have to give that a watch. I just added it to my list.
Yeah, Akudama Drive. I recommend it. I really liked that one.
So I know that the one time that we've met, Michael, I kind of talked about this, but we actually worked on an anime together. And just so everyone in the audience is aware that this is now a mature note here. So if you are of age, go look it up. But it was Caressing My Hibernating Bear. What was your experience like working on that project?
Oh my God. I only took that one because my best friend of like since I was a teenager was a part of that one too. And also because I'm not gonna lie, as a voice actor, I don't really, I don't consider myself one to do more mature work, but I'll do it every now and again so long as it's interesting to me. I kind of wanted to have that experience of, okay, I'll do one hentai. And I was like, dude, this is a furry kind of adjacent hentai. That's the one thing I'll have that I'll ever do that's hentai related. Whatever. I thought it was really fun, and so I just did it for the lore, for the experience of being like, I did a hentai, and it was a furry adjacent hentai, and I did it with one of my very first internet friends that I've known since I was 12 years old. Isn't that cool?
That is cool, actually.
My buddy Zach. I met him doing Sonic fan dubs way back in the day. It's just so crazy to think about like how much we've grown as people and as actors. Legitimately one of my very first ever internet friends from like 2007, and we got to do unheard of things to each other in the form of a furry adjacent hentai. It's wacky. I didn't know you were in that though. That's so cool.
Yeah, I don't worry. I was just like background characters.
Oh, gotcha. Well,
But I
still,
mean-
that's still a really cool experience.
Yeah. It was my first acting credit technically on IMDb, so I was thrilled to even be asked in the most strange way possible, which was someone happened to be in my Twitch stream and messaged me afterwards.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Alrighty. So you have a plethora of characters that you've helped in bringing to life. How does it feel knowing that each one of them has their own respective fan base?
It's really cool. I feel like some of them do bleed into each other, which I also really like. One thing that I have come to notice that I think can be a blessing and a curse, I personally think is really cool though, is because I've been in so many things, there's now a category of people that are familiar with me to the extent where they just sort of follow my work in general. So if I voice in a new thing, there's already like a baked in audience that because they know who I am, they'll go check out this new thing that I'm a part of. And I see that as something really cool because that means that if I work on something that I think is really interesting, that is smaller scale and is something that I otherwise don't think would get as much attention, I can sort of introduce people to it and try to help that project grow and get like at least a decent start as far as like helping a few people discover it and find it and express some interest in it. I don't think that I have as much sway as people would think where, it's not going to be an instant hit just because I'm a part of something. I've been a part of projects that don't do very well at all. And I just work on them because I think they're fun to work on. But there are definitely people that keep an eye out for what I'm working on and will actively seek out new things that I'm a part of. And I think that's really, really cool that I can have that kind of influence. And I'm glad that I'm the kind of person that doesn't like misuse that power, because God knows that being on the internet, there are so many bad eggs out there that if they have any kind of audience, they can just be terrible people. And I tried not to, think of things in that way, just because it's a privilege to even be in a position where people know who you are online. And the last thing I'd ever want to do is take that for granted or, use that to be a bad person or misuse my platform.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the actual question goes, though, I think it's really cool seeing the audiences, whether they're separate or collaborative, just seeing people enjoy the things that I get to be a part of. And I especially love seeing the collaborative fan art where they draw characters interacting. Like I saw so many pieces of art of like Ann and Doey or Jackson Doey, or just every single character that I voice that they could think of just kind of talking to each other in some way or hanging out. I think that's just really cool to see that level of collaboration.
In a couple of those pieces, it's definitely really fun to see those two characters. I think I've seen I think there might have been one or two with Doey and N. And those ones are really nice, really well put together.
Yeah.
So, what types of characters haven't you gotten the chance to voice act for that you would be excited to try out?
Like any character that usually, so I guess things like the monster tutorial voice or anything kind of like that, where it's that kind of more intimidating lower end kind of voice. I don't really get to do much of that. Most of the characters I do are generally pretty eccentric and animated. I don't really get to do very many grounded, natural, realistic characters or more like intimidating characters. So something I'd like to do more of, maybe if I'm given the opportunity to, is try to do more characters that are, I guess, a little less like eccentric, that are more grounded and maybe a bit darker in tone and energy. Like I definitely want to voice an antagonist in some way, like some kind of actually scary kind of antagonist, because that's something that's out of my usual typecast. People don't get to hear me as much. And I think that'd be just really fun to kind of explore and do, because I think that I could do it. I've not had much of an opportunity to try it. And I think that'd be a fun challenge and a fun break from everything I've done so far. So if the monster tutorial voice ends up being anything bigger, that could possibly be something that would be that too. So you never know.
Exactly. And you would make a great villain. Like, playing the villain is so
You
much
would.
fun.
It seems like a lot of fun. I would definitely want to try doing something like that if given the opportunity.
This next question's a little simpler, but I felt like I don't know. You ask a simple question, maybe you don't get a simple answer afterwards. So I threw it in there.
Hmm.
But what is your favorite part about what you do?
Oh man, there's so many things that I love about what I do, but I guess my favorite part is just that you know, I guess if I'm going to be a bit more like selfish, I guess I really love that I don't have to, you know, do anything that is I guess super uncomfortable or jarring for me. Like I don't have to go out and do anything super intensive all day. Like I work it on my own schedule for the most part. I can say, "Hey, I'm on vacation this week. I don't want to work." And I can just have a whole week off if I so say that I want to. And having that kind of flexibility is just really, really cool. And it's something that most people obviously don't have the luxury of being able to have. I'm always going to be grateful for that. As far as like the more selfish answer, overall, the answer would be that I also just really like. Specifically, I love getting to do conventions. That's what makes it all kind of worthwhile for me, is getting to actually go out and do conventions and kind of see the impact that a lot of these things have made on people. Because when you're behind a computer monitor and you're seeing people react online, it's so easy to just think, oh, people like this, but they don't really care that much. Like it's just kind of a little thing that people maybe like, but it's not that impactful. But then you go out into a convention and you see a huge line of people, or people cosplaying as characters you voice, or people talking about stories about how your voice acting or your characters that you've worked on, how they impacted them. And people say that they flew out from like the other side of the country just to come to this convention to meet you. It's just kind of astounding, just kind of this amount of love and care that people have for me, and especially for the characters that I've gotten to portray. And you want to be able to respect that and make sure that everybody feels as loved and as cared for as they should, because it's an honor to be able to be in that position for people, and to know that you've made so much of an impact in their life. It's just really, really like eye opening. I've had people that have inspired me like that, where I would go up to them I never have because I didn't really go up to many folks that I looked up to because I would always be too shy. I've always been too shy to do stuff like that. But just knowing that I'm that person to a lot of people is just genuinely really heartwarming and something that doesn't really feel real, I guess. And I'm just grateful that to this day I still feel like I am humble because I don't let that stuff get to me. After every convention, it's back to the norm for me. I hold on to like every piece of fan art and every gift that a fan gives me, even if I have nothing I can do with it. It at least goes into a special drawer. That way, it's like protected and safe. I never like throw it out. I've held on to everything so far, and I intend to hold on to as much as I can until I physically can't anymore, and then I'll probably get a storage unit for everything. But overall, just doing conventions and seeing the impact that it has been insane and is just the most fulfilling thing for me as far as this whole career goes.
I will never forget the moment on a Friday night when I was sitting in my hotel room at Furry Week in Atlanta, and I was looking at my phone, that I realized that you were there and people could go and meet you, and I freaked out. Because first off, not surprising that I didn't read something and completely went over my mind, but the fact that you were there and I have the opportunity to go and say hi to you, oh my God, I was so nervous when I was trying to find your booth. You have no idea. This random person carrying around a giant Huggy Wuggy plush, just like, he's going to think I'm weird.
No, dude, that's not weird at all. I honestly really love when people come up with stuff that like, identifies what they like me from or what they know me from in particular. Because if I see someone and they're dressed as like Jax from Digital Circus, or they're wearing something adjacent to Doey, which I haven't really seen much of yet because it's so fresh still. I saw someone dressed as Pianosaurus, which is funny, but you see people and they're dressed up or they're holding things that are indicative to what they like me from. It's like instantly conversation starter. It's like, oh, cool. You like this thing. Let's talk about Poppy Playtime. Let's talk about Digital Circus. Let's talk about murder drones. And I don't think it's weird at all. I honestly heavily respect the commitment, and I'm just glad that those projects impacted you.
They sure did. It's also funny because that is when I was also talking to SirSmirkz at the same time, because they wanted an autograph, and I purchased one of your prints and got the autograph for him.
Heck yeah. I still need to get a Doey print made.
I think I put my print that Tibbers got me from you away somewhere very safe.
Good.
It was actually, I keep it as a commemoration of our newfound friendship, because I think we were just, that's when we were just starting to talk from the partner program. So
yeah, that's
it's
accurate.
a core memory.
It took a lot for you to want to hang out with a furry, I know.
Okay, you know
I
what?
know, man. So judgmental.
It was going to be a deep fryer for 2 in 2 seconds.
And just for that, SirSmirkz, I just gave you this next question to ask.
Fun final one. If you could pick one of your past characters to be your real life best friend, who would it be and why?
Oh, that's so easy for me. It's N for murder drones.
I figured.
That is actually so easy for me. I feel like N and I would be really good friends. I feel like with N, he's just such like this ray of sunshine, this optimistic being that like honestly, okay, maybe there's one thing that would be a little annoying, is that I think him being so optimistic all the time might wear me down a little bit and be exhausting. It's like I'd probably want to hang out with him like maybe a good bit of the day, but I'd also need a break just because it's like, okay, buddy, you're a bit much. Let's take it easy for now. I'll catch you tomorrow. But as far as like energy goes, I think that he's probably the biggest contender for someone that I'd want to have as like a good friend in real life. Just because I see a lot of myself in N, and when you work on a character like that, sometimes a lot of that character gets injected into you. That can happen too, where you become inspired by a character that you like, and so there are aspects of N that like I've always had, and there are aspects of N that I've kind of grown just from working with that character so much. Like with starting out with N, I've always been the type to kind of repress certain feelings and focus more on like the positive instead of the negative. And, that's like a form of toxic positivity. And that's something that N goes through a lot. That's also something that in Digital Circus, Ragatha goes through. Ragatha and N, I think, are very similar characters, except Ragatha, like, as you saw in episode 4, kind of breaks a little bit of that persona and lets herself be a little mean because she's under the influence and isn't completely self-aware. And I don't think is inherently a bad person. I don't think he has negative intentions. I think that he just doesn't think of himself. He thinks of others more so than he thinks of himself. And that's something I've always struggled with in life, is sort of focusing too much on other people and their worries and like how to make them happy and not on my own personal fulfillment. And I see a lot of that in N. So I think that as far as like us actually, if I were to actually meet him in some way, that's something that we would probably bond over. It'd be like a therapy session almost, where it's like, you don't have to spend all of your time kind of worrying about the fulfillment of others. You got to focus on yourself sometimes, but it's okay to think about yourself first and foremost. I went on a little tangent there, had a little yap session, but yeah, TLDR. N is a pretty fun guy. He's not a mushroom. He's a robot.
I think that's a great pick. And
Yeah.
I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah.
Everyone could use a little N in their lives.
Yep.
Especially you, Smirks.
All right.
All right.
You won't come out of the deep fryer. How about that?
Uh-oh.
It's okay.
Whoopsies.
Such is life. I'll deal with it.
It's nice and hot and relaxing in there.
Yeah, it's like a hot tub.
It only hurts for a second.
Okay, so we are now at the point of the interview. We're going to be doing just the last few questions as we wind down. So just to kick it off, if you could go back in time and have a chat with little Michael, what would you tell yourself to prepare for the future?
That's a loaded question. There's a lot of stuff that I'd probably want to do differently. But, to preface that, I think I'll start by saying that a lot of the mistakes that we've made in life kind of are what made us who we are. So I'm happy with where I am. And obviously there are things I regret, but I don't think I'd really change much of what I did, just because even though I think there are things I wish I never did and people I've hurt that I wish I never hurt, as we all have in life, it's like it made you who you are and helped you kind of form into the person you are. So at that point, it's like, well, it's a part of my history. It's part of what made me who I am. And you have to kind of understand that. As far as like things I'd want to tell little Michael, I guess I would just tell him that it's okay to think about yourself and to not, it'd be less about career, be more about life. It'd be about focusing on what I want out of life and not letting others take priority, because it's good to want the best for others. It's not good to put others above yourself at all times and kind of let yourself not prioritize yourself, because at that point you're just kind of gonna turn into a husk to a degree. And I don't think that I'm a husk or anything, but that's just something that like will affect kind of how you look at things and perceive the world. If you put yourself down and don't really think highly of yourself, you should learn a little bit of self-love. And so I try to just tell myself to learn to love myself and be okay with the fact that I'm not perfect, and that's okay.
I think that's excellent sound advice.
Yeah. Very, very well said.
And also, I was so paranoid that my mom was gonna die, and she's still alive. So I just go back and be like, "Your mom's gonna be fine, dude."
Do you have any advice to anyone listening who is wanting to be a voiceover artist, animator, or conceptual artist?
Advice: just do it. Like it's tough to really feel like you're ready, because you're always gonna feel like you're not prepared. In a lot of regards, if you wait until you feel like you're ready, you're never going to start, because you're never going to be ready. Take those first steps to really try and kind of get into whatever career path you want in the arts. I know a lot of people do school for art form stuff. People I know say that while school is good if you can afford it, it's not actually like a necessity or requirement. And if anything, it can just be a gigantic, financial investment that doesn't really end up paying off a lot of the time. So don't go super heavy on just focusing on schooling if that's not something that you can safely afford. There are so many resources online and communities that are available just over the internet where you can get started. And this is primarily talking about the arts rather than voice acting for now, but there are just a bunch of people you can learn from online, and the best way to learn and get experience is to do things yourself. I'm personally very much of the mindset that in this era of the internet, it's really, really, really nice to be able to kind of create your own things and flesh out those creative bones, and just kind of make your own stuff, even if it's bad. It doesn't have to be good to start. Like, no one's going to be perfect at the start. Just kind of do it and look back on it in a few years and laugh, but also remember that that's kind of how you got your start. And you never know. That could lead to great things, whether you're confident at first or not. The big thing is you just got to do it, because again, that's the hardest part, is taking that first step and being willing to try something different that is scary.
Seconded. Because I think we've all been in positions where we're like, I really want to do this, but I'm too scared to do it. Just do it. Just do it.
Of course.
Regardless
It's
of how it turns out.
intimidating. It's intimidating, and it's hard to like motivate yourself, because it's like, oh, but what if I do bad? What if everyone hates me? It's like, no one's gonna hate you. The worst thing you're gonna do is you're not gonna be very good, and people are gonna say you're not ready. And that is completely justified and fair. Like, there are people that can be understanding and nice about it and just say, hey, I see what you're doing. I respect it. You're not ready yet, but that's not to say you'll never be ready. And if you have good people in your life, there are people that can push you in the right direction and motivate you and help you get through it. And so when you are in a position where you're a bit more confident and your skills are fleshed out a bit more, you can try again and do more. And just keep going from there. You just got to start.
You can do it. This is us encouraging you.
Yes, you got this.
So do you have any plugs for upcoming projects, conventions, or anything like that you want to tell us about?
Sure. My next convention, I'm right now, as of the 21st of March, I'm at Zenkai Con in Pennsylvania. I'll be there until Sunday. If you're in Pennsylvania, next weekend I will be in Birmingham in the UK for MegaCon Live, and that'll be my first time ever being abroad in the UK for a convention. I've been to the UK before, but it'll be my first time doing a convention in the UK. So catch me there. I'll be at Level Up Expo in April with the main Glitch Productions team and the voices of Pomni and Caine in Digital Circus, and it'll be really fun. As far as where you can catch me, I'm on Blue Sky, I'm on Twitter still, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. My username is basically it's Kovach everywhere except for Instagram, where it's mkovacs. But everywhere else, it's Kovach, Kovox. You can find me there.
Sweet. You also answered our next question.
You stole last question. That's totally fine.
Wait, what was the last question?
Where can we find you on the interwebs?
Oh, I thought you included that.
I might have. I don't know. I just say things sometimes and don't realize it.
Oh, I thought you included that as part of the question. But yes, you can find me on the interwebs on Blue Sky, Twitter, most places. Is just Kovox, Kovach. I don't use Twitch as much anymore. I want to try and use it more, though. That one is just Kovach VG, and Instagram is mkovacs. Otherwise, Kovach basically everywhere else.
Alrighty. Well, before we go, and again, thank you so much for sitting down with us. We really do appreciate it. We do have a developer.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, we have a developer from Mob Entertainment who is also a mixed media artist and does a lot of things. Her name is Amber Loves Bugs, who would love to come in and say hi if that's cool.
Absolutely. I'm familiar with Amber. I'd love to chat with them.
Yeah. Oh, Amber.
I got a little sparkle in my eye when you said Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Ugh.
I've never went to a convention, but I live in Jersey, so I am not that far away from there.
Heck yeah.
We'll see how long it takes for Amber to get in here.
Hi.
Hello!
Hi.
Hi. How's it going, Amber?
Nothing much. I was literally in the middle of making rice, and then I heard the Discord notification. I'm like, oh shit.
Yes, we just did our big interview, and they said you wanted to chat for a little bit. And I know that you've worked on Poppy Playtime. I know I've been following you for a while. We've been mutuals on Twitter for a while, but we've never actually spoken, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. There was a call that we had a long while back with Zach and Micah and a few others, and I tried to say hi, but it was just so overwhelming. I don't think you heard me.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. But yeah, I do a lot of Poppy Playtime stuff in terms of like art, animations, illustrations, marketing, a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, busy.
Yeah. But yeah, I want to quickly say this. You did a wonderful job as Doey. I've seen a lot of your stuff from before of like, when you were Anne and Jax and Angel Dust and a few other characters. But with Doey, you were like completely different. And I really got to applaud you for that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, with Doey, that character just has so much going on, and is just such an interesting case, especially considering the fact that they consist of 3 children, and they're each of different personalities. It's like you have to keep that in mind, and so we had to be very cautious with how we approached, who's talking when and how things are said and how the voice is. And I also had to be cautious because I voice like so many other characters in Poppy Playtime. We had to avoid them sounding too similar.
Yeah. Didn't you voice also Mr. White? Is that who I'm thinking?
Yo, Mr. White. Dr. White.
Dr. White. Thank you.
In chapter 3, I voiced Dr. White, but I'm gonna be so actually real with you.
Uh-huh.
They directed me to just read him as the scientist, like the same exact way. I thought it was the same character, just they finally had a name. And so I'm like, all right, this is that scientist. And so I just did the same voice. He only had like 2 words, and he's like, he had like 1 small line.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't think anything of it, but I literally read him the same way I did the scientist, which, the scientist just talks like this the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just did that exact same thing for Dr. White. And when I realized that was not the same character, I was like, oh, oops. And then in chapter 4, we were originally going to have me also record for Dr. White, but he had a very expanded character there, and they had more lines for him. And I remember we were just in the session about to do those lines, and they were like, maybe put on like a bit of an accent to change the voice a little bit. And I'm like, I don't know. It's going to sound so weird and forced and different. I think maybe we should just recast that role. And so they ended up giving it to Sean Chiplock, which Sean and I have gotten comparisons for sounding so similar in the past that I'm like, that's actually the most fitting person you could have cast, because you get someone that already kind of sounds like me, but it's not me. So it works. I think they do great for Dr. White. I'm really happy with how that all turned out. And I think it's just so it's so funny just how that all turned out. I'm honestly grateful though, because I think if I was voicing Rich, this one scientist that's in every single chapter for whatever reason, Doey, monster tutorial voice in Project Playtime, it's like that's already 4 characters. Oh, and like some employee in one of the videos that was on the YouTube channel. There was like 1 employee I voiced in one of them about Huggy breaking out. I voiced 1 employee in like that video. I voiced like 5 characters. It's like, okay, you got to take a break, buddy.
Mob likes your voice.
I got to take a break, dude. I can't voice everybody.
It do be like that.
But yeah, I know that like a lot of people, when things were being developed and things were still in the early stages, people didn't even know that it was me doing Doey.
Yeah, I didn't even know. I didn't even know whenever I first heard it. I was like, who is this? Who's voicing this Doey? I could never put my finger on it until after I finished the game and I was looking at the credits before it was released, and I was like, Michael.
We had the same reaction. I loved it.
There I am. It's me. Oopsies.
It's
I
you.
snuck in. I snuck in.
But nah, you did so well. You did so good, and representing all of like the different characters too, like for Doey.
There are certain places that I listen back to it and I'm like, I wish I could have shown a little more Kevin here, or I wish I could have shown a little more Jack here. But you know, there at the end of the day, I think that what we came out with turned out great. And I'm really happy that people love Doey as much as they do. And even though Doey really didn't have as much, as much screen time as I'm sure people would have liked, because we only really got to see so much of him, but we saw as much as we needed to see of Doey. And the fandom has been making their own fan content with the character, like animations and and art and comics. And it's so nice and sweet just seeing how creative people have been taking this character and inserting them into new situations and whatnot that couldn't have possibly been explored in the game because of the nature of the game. And it just goes to show just how cool this character is and how loved this character is. And I just think that's really awesome. I'm actually going through my Twitter likes right now to grab a bunch of fan art because they wanted to feature some of the fan art that I've enjoyed of Doey. And I've got a bit. I've compiled 5 so far. I'm trying to get way more though.
I will definitely be drawing a lot more Doey because like I did a lot of early pre-production Doey, and everyone has been just absolutely ogling on that, especially of the animation that I did of him. Oh my goodness. I've seen pictures and like illustrations regarding early Doey and the current Doey that we got in the final, and it is the funniest shit ever.
Oh man, I don't even know if I've seen early Doey. I've only seen the current form of Doey.
Oh man, I gotta text you that.
Oh, you gotta show me. I want to see it.
Oh man, but I really want to make some current Doey art because oh man, we pulled a Koro Sensei on him, and I am a mess about that.
Oh, so much of this fan art is also like a lot of Japanese fan artists. The Japanese fan artists are so good.
Yeah, they're so good.
Yeah. Oh my god, I'm going through my likes, and so much of these pieces of fan art are just so freaking good.
So Amber,
Yes.
something that Michael mentioned to us that I thought was really, really interesting is that they're going to be doing a convention with Elsie, and that they were talking about potentially needing some Doey and Mommy Longlegs prints.
Hi. Yeah.
That might be a fun idea for us to have like a print that's just Doey and Mommy Longlegs together, even though they've never interacted. Like as far as we know, physically in chapter 4, obviously because Mommy's dead. But
sobbing, crying.
It's always possible they've interacted in some capacity in the past. So you never know.
That's literally what I was getting at. Like they've got to be friends in the past, right?
Who knows?
But Elsie made mention of that at one point, and I was like, "Oh my god, dude, I would love to like potentially help you out on making illustrations for that."
Yeah,
but she has not
I would be
responded back to
down.
me since. Yeah,
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah. So I would be super honored to assist you in making like illustrations if you want. It's completely up to you.
I am totally down. If Elsie's comfortable with it too, we could talk about that and see. Because I'm sure that if we do like a print of some kind that's like a collaborative print, it would be one of those things where I'd probably want to have Elsie around too, just to have them give approval. Because I'm sure we'd probably want to come up with a design jointly.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Also, I just sent a bunch of fan art.
Oh my god, yes! Oh my god, I've seen it. Yes! Oh my god.
The Covey and Doey. Oh my god.
That one's cute.
Yeah, that one's really cute. Ivy Burritos does a lot of really good art of my little Twitter Sona.
Oh my god, and the Ubears one, I know them personally. They are so freaking sweet. They make such good art. I love Ubear.
Yeah, there's a
Oh,
few in here that I really, really, really like.
yes. Oh man, these are all so good. I'm always gonna be floored with the amount of fan content there is of like Poppy Playtime, like especially of Doey. Like, oh my gosh, there's so much great.
People love Doey.
Yes.
He's so good. Did you guys see the piece of the picture that I posted of like a fire hydrant that's like Doey colored?
No,
Yes, I did see that.
Well,
I
hold
didn't
on.
see that. Wait,
There's a fire hydrant near where I live that just here.
are you kidding me? Oh my god.
It's actually perfectly Doey colored. It's got like little stains of yellow, orange, and red at the bottom, and it's got like the blue color
On the
and
hat, yeah.
yeah, and it's like a very light blue for the main body. It's crazy.
Oh my god.
It's Doey the fire hydrant.
It's like paint a little face on it.
Yeah.
Don't put it past Amber, she'll do it.
I'm doing it right now.
Hell yeah. I need to go physically to it and like put on Doey eyes.
Oh my god, yes.
It's like me putting googly eyes on everything when I'm in a public space.
Oh, I got a little cat snuggling next to me right now.
Aww.
Aw.
Hey Rose. Oh, she's big purring.
Okay, here. I did it.
Oh no.
Hold on.
Oh, did you do the thing?
Hey, pal.
That's exactly what I'm gonna have to do to that hydrant now. I'm gonna go there physically and grab a marker and do that to it.
Make
Or
sure it's
no.
Sharpie. Make sure it's in Sharpie.
Well, hold on. Actually, I don't even know if Sharpie will really come across. What I might do is I might just print out things and I might tape it to it.
Use a stencil with some spray paint.
Oh my god.
Oh god, Amber. I hate you.
Smiles cutely.
Oh.
Imagine just like firefighters walking up to them and be like, what the hell is going on here?
Just don't ask questions.
He's like, Doey's on the job. I believe in proper fire safety.
I was gonna say I do not, but I probably shouldn't say that.
I do not.
That's Kevin right there.
That's Kevin.
That is Kevin. That's Kevin coded 100%.
Kevin's like,
Let it burn.
Oh my god.
I absolutely love, what is it, like one of the streamers' reactions where it's like, it's like,
My friends, they killed my friends.
and then just
You.
and then you just see them go like, of course, he says you. Yep, the heel turn. Yep.
Oh, yep.
You just see the streamer immediately go like, of course, yep. He's turning on the player. Yep.
It's like, I just wish there was someone to blame. Grabs the player. Oh wait, there is.
You and Poppy, it's all your fault.
Yeah, not gonna happen in my fanfiction though.
I'm genuinely astounded. I don't know how I managed this, but I did so many takes where I was like screaming at the top of my lungs for those lines at the end of Doey's, stuff. And
Oh yeah.
I don't know how I didn't lose my voice. I was
And
fine.
you also did like a few crying tracks as well whenever Doey went back to Safe Haven and you were going up to the Safe Haven.
Oh my god, yes. Like you just hear him scream and you hear him like wallowing in sadness as you like go up there. It's actually really heartbreaking. Like as you're going up, you just hear that sudden scream of him in the distance. It's like, oh god, what happened?
Yes. Oh god.
Oh, I love it.
Gave me the shivers whenever I first heard it. I was like, oh my god.
One of my favorite lines is just, this is clearly Jack talking, is during the final boss fight though.
Mommy, Daddy, I just want to go home.
That whole thing.
The entire segment just ripped my heart out. There's so many freaking pieces that I'm never gonna be okay with it.
Mm-hmm. And then the freaking the last tape that you find with Doey's hat on it. Oh my god, that That one really broke me.
Yeah,
That one was
that one
just
was
had
really
to
done.
hit the nail on the heart harder. Why don't you?
It was done so well.
Yeah, I love Doey. Doey's such a complex trio. Call him a trio,
hmm
a squad.
A whole squad.
The squad lining up, and it's just one dude.
But again, Michael, wanted to thank you so much for doing this interview with us. SirSmirkz and I both appreciate it so much. You have no idea.
Absolutely.
Of course, and I'm appreciative for you guys reaching out to me and wanting to do. I know that you've reached out to me before in the past, but I neglected to respond because I knew that it would be a little better if I waited until Doey.
Kind of glad you did.
Yeah. And I didn't want to like say anything, so I was just like, I'll just wait until Doey comes out. They'll probably message me again.
As soon as you followed me on Blue Sky, I was like, I'm gonna send a message. I probably shouldn't, but I don't know if my other ones went through, so I'm just gonna do it.
They did. I just was like, I could do this now, or I could wait until it makes a little more sense when there's a bigger character I can talk about. I don't know. And so I was just like, I'll just wait on this one.
I'm so glad that you did.
I apologize. It seemed like I was ignoring you.
Not at all.
Something. It was one of those cases where I'm like, there's a reason for this.
You are perfectly fine.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for having me and for wanting to bring me on and talk to me.
No problem. SirSmirkz, where can everybody find you on the internet?
SirSmirkz on YouTube, Twitch, and here. Hi.
You're getting a cookie. You're finally learning.
Okay, enough out of you.
And Amber, of course, as always, where can we find you?
Amber loves bugs everywhere. Just search me up on Google and you'll find me.
And you can find all my stuff in the description. Thank you all for joining. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ah.